Welcome to the Jew York Times. On today's episode, we will be talking about Lebanon. This episode is actually being filmed in the Strait of Hormuz. That's right. I set up a podcast studio in the Strait. We will also be talking about Iron Dome funding being brought into the spotlight. Should the defensive weapons of Israel be unfunded? AIPAC has been dropping in the polls with not just the non-Jews, but with the Jews. UPENN may be forced to hand over a list of Jews to the Trump administration. And I, of course, want to talk about on the Mamdani watch, Sid Rosenberg, Mr. Met, and Zohran Mamdani are all beefing, plus a big Mazel Kiddush Shkoyach Minin out there to Amare who was added to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and Jewish death is up, according to polling by the Tel Aviv Institute. All of those stories and more on today's episode of the Jew York Times. As always, I'm Eitan Levine, Walter Cronkite. Joined with me off camera is Richard Hunter Cunningham Templeton III. We keep off camera so that he can maintain all of his professional endeavors that he wants to take a part of. Rich, how are those endeavors going? How's it going? How's the biz?
It's going good.
Did you, it was Passover recently.
It was Passover.
As a non-Jew, did you do anything to celebrate Passover?
No, I didn't.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
You didn't eat some crackers? You didn't, we have so much matzah that's just hanging around this house. I'm surprised you didn't indulge.
I think I had some bites of some errant matzah.
We did. Yeah, there was Manischewitz sent over a couple boxes of matzah.
Manischewitz.
Manischewitz. They sent it over.
So then I guess I did, in a way, indulge a bit with some crackers.
Did you enjoy the crackers?
You know what? They can really hit the spot.
They
sometimes.
can.
They can.
Here's the thing about matzah. Gluten-free matzah, 10 times better than regular matzah. And I'll go to my grave with that.
Yeah.
The gluten-free matzah, the onion-flavored gluten-free matzah is better than 90% of all snacks. Absolutely better than all snacks. Some Jewish Passover food is awful. A lot of Jewish Passover food is awful. Matzah brie, disgusting. You know what matzah brie is?
I do not.
It's just matzah and eggs, and you throw it in a pan, and then you cook it. And that's it. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
It's like an empty hollow, like, hey, this is just like regular times last week. Wow. It's not. You're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'm a fan of matzah, but otherwise I didn't partake in any rituals or anything.
Did you? And this past weekend was Easter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right. Well, there was the weekend. I'm honestly trying to remember, but I did not. Usually I go up and do a little church service with the fam, but this year I did not. So.
Did you, out of curiosity, you hate Jews. No, I'm joking. You hate Jewish God. You love the Jews. You hate the God. Do you do anything for Easter? Do you do the eggs? You doing a hunt? You do any of that stuff?
I have in the past, like for my nieces and nephews or godchildren or something.
This is the thing that Jews and non-Jews do in spring together, is that they put out a bunch of food everywhere and they go, kids, go get the food, go find it. Because we have the Afikomen and then you have the Easter egg hunt.
Right.
Is it an actual egg or is it just a like candy inside the egg that you hunt?
It varies. The classic thing is to take eggs and you use food coloring.
Yeah, you paint them.
I'll paint them. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that whimsy.
You don't have that whimsy?
No. The Jews, so the non-Jews, when they go finding their food in Easter, it's like, oh, we painted an egg and we're going to put it around outside and we're going to do, this. For Jews, it's the Afikomen. So we put a piece of matzah into a little bag and then we hide it somewhere inside, not outside. We hide it somewhere inside and we say, kids, go, get it. And only one of you is getting a gift. That's it. Because it's the one who gets the Afikomen. That's the one that gets the gift.
Is this like a allegory for capitalism?
I would say this is an allegory for capitalism. Okay. The Afikomen for Jews is early on Jewish parents looking at their kids and going, hey, only one of you is going to get the keys to the castle, okay? Right. Only one of you. As much as right now we're just finding an Afikomen and you maybe get a PlayStation at the end of this, in real life, only one of you is going to get that internship at Deloitte. And only one of you is going to end up becoming partner at Deloitte. And then only one of you is going to be able to resign in scandal at Deloitte.
Yeah.
And they looked at him and they said, listen, Eric Swalwell, you're going to do it. You know, are you following the Eric Swalwell thing that's happening? Do you know?
That's the Democratic.
Yeah.
The allegation.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't, I don't know any specifics, but.
Actually, you know, there's 3 like sex scandals that are currently happening in America right now. Do you know about so Eric Swalwell's one. Then there was that I think Gonzalez, is it Rodriguez Gonzalez?
Oh, I'm not sure.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Of that ilk.
Fair enough.
Swalwell, you know, the white one, then you got the Latino one or whatever, who also had to resign. And then there's this sex scandal that's happening between a teacher named Haley Beck.
I think I heard about
and that. Did you read the text messages though?
No.
It is so funny because I've never seen a sexual harassment case or a sexual assault case, because the kid's the victim, obviously, you know, and she got caught for grooming. The text messages between them and between him and her, because the lady is the teacher and the kid is the boy. Right. And the entire time he's like, I'm not interested. And she's like, come on, like, why don't we go hook up? And he's like, no, you're ugly and you're fat. And she's like, no, please, I'll wait outside your house. And he's like, okay, fine, but we're only going to do this, and I got to go back inside. And she's like, oh, okay. And then at some point, he literally gets her to pay him. So the 2 things that is happening is that she's paying him in $25 increments to go to his house, do some stuff to him, and then and then like leave and then be like, okay, like don't tell anyone, please. And what was so crazy is that they released the text messages of him talking to his friends. And he's like, yeah, she had me come over and, she's pretty fat, but she laid there for 2 minutes and then I finished and then I kind of left and that was it. And like, it's the craziest thing because if I'm I don't know if anyone has been more embarrassed in in life more than this lady. Imagine being in losing your job, losing your family. I think she had a boyfriend, losing all that stuff, probably having to go to prison.
Right.
And then the entire time, the kid is like, man, this woman won't stop leaving me alone. Yeah, I'll use her for the $25 cash increments. But realistically, this isn't ladies, this is a big lesson for the ladies out there. If he's not into you, he's not into you.
That's right.
Unfortunately,
That's right. 10 ways. What is it? 10 ways to 10 ways to lose a guy in 10 days. What is it?
10 ways to lose a guy in 10 days.
Something like that.
Yeah. How to lose a guy in 10 days. Yeah. 10 ways to lose your guy in 10 days. 1, barf on him. 2, ask him all the time, are you always this angry? That's how you do it. Let me tell you right now, this is the biggest way. If you want, as someone have been in a couple of relationships in my life, the biggest way in my heyday, the way to really end any like debate, any argument, anything, is to look your girlfriend dead in the eye and say, "Are we going to be dealing with this all day?" I promise you, the conversation is over, mostly because she has stabbed you in the chest at that point. Just look her right in the eye and say, did your dad also have to deal with this? And that's it. Argument's over.
So basically have like about upwards of 11% of Upper East Side lawyers, brunette lawyers under 5'2" you've had this experience.
I will tell you right now. So this is what I'm really good at. Jewish women are very good at knowing when to pick and choose like loud fights in public.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of it, at home, you'll get it. 100% you'll get it. We love them for that. Yeah. We need to get it at some point, to be completely honest. I need to be reined in. Can you imagine if I wasn't reined in? Can you imagine a not reined in version of this? It'd be crazy. You've achieved greatness when you're able to get a tiny little brunette lawyer from the Upper West Side to publicly ream you out at Zabar's. That is how.
At Zabar's?
At Zabar's. It happened once.
It did? Was Richard Kind within earshot?
I'm sure he was right there. Okay. We were in the cheese section. Actually, no, we were in the prepared food section. The prepared food section of it. Sense. I used to get duck bacon from Zabar's all the time. That was a big thing. That was not a big thing, but that was like what I would that spending.
Usually be like a Friday reward or something
Yeah. Back when full-time employment was a thing, and
All right, there are no weekdays or weekends anymore. I forgot. Yeah.
Back when I had insurance that I didn't pay for out of pocket, back in the good days, where the prepared foods section of it, and I was trying to figure out if we get 1 stuffed cabbage or 2 stuffed cabbages. Right. And I was specifically I was doing an old Jewish like man voice,
right,
joking with her, but obviously this had been an ongoing voice that I had been doing for her.
Right.
And I remember going like, well, on the one hand I can get the 1, but is 1 enough, and then 2, but then I don't want to be full. And she goes, please stop doing that. And I go, what do you want me to stop doing? This is how I figure out if I want the stuffed cabbage. She goes, please stop doing that. And I go, what? Like your decisions are so good. Oh boy, leveled me right in front of the prepared food guys.
What did she say?
She looked at me in the eye and she said what I would say is the equivalent to, you think you're so funny and you're betting your professional life on it, but I don't think that is a good idea.
Wow.
But in a very specific, like is it always with this? We never get a break from this, Eitan. Anyways, I'm single out there. Everyone can go hit me up. You can email my manager if you want to date me. That's what I would say out there. Anyways, let us get into a couple of the stories. First of all, the Iran war, where we are currently at, is that apparently J.D. Vance is going to be going back with a delegation to Pakistan over the next couple of days to start the negotiation process. The negotiation process has not worked to this point, and I will say that it is the coldest take of all time that the U.S. is in a worse position than they were going into this war. The Strait of Hormuz is being forced open versus just being, open stam, which is just a Jewish word for just like standard open. There's going to be a conversation. Really, the 2 issues that are being debated right now are the nuclear materials that are somewhere in Iran. Who knows? I think that what they should do is just send a bunch of our prisoners out there, our bad prisoners, like the ones that have done bad crime, not the nonviolent offenders. I'm talking about people who have murdered families. Send them into Iran. Just have them dig through the and then if they ever come back like nose bleeding, you're like, there's the uranium. If they show up and they're just like puking, just vomiting blood, I'd be like, we should probably check over there where that prisoner just his hand just melted off of his body. But they're trying to figure out what to do with this uranium. There is actually a question of like Iran not knowing potentially like how to handle this uranium issue. Another big problem here is that apparently it's unclear if we're even negotiating with the right people, which has been a very silly like part of this, is that there was a big confusion after the first negotiation talks where there was a ceasefire, but then afterwards the tension between Israel, Hezbollah, and Lebanon, which we're going to get into in a minute, that kept on continuing, and Israel kept on shooting at Lebanon. The Iranian negotiators were like, "Oh, you can't do that. That was part of the negotiation. That the ceasefire includes Lebanon in this." That is being debated as if it was accurate. Israel said it was never part of the deal to stop with the Lebanon stuff. Iran said it was part of the deal. And then also, we don't even know if it was or not because there's 80 different levels of go-betweens. They're not actually dealing with the Iranians directly. They're dealing with the Pakistanis who are dealing with the Iranians. And you don't even know if the Pakistanis are dealing with the right Iranians because the right Iranians have all been murdered, like to this point. Like they've murdered, they've been exploded and ethically disposed of, Mujtaba, who knows what's up with him? He's in some cellar somewhere. But that's the current conversation that's happening, is that we are going into the next level of debates here. Now, Lebanon. Can we talk about Lebanon? What do you know about Lebanon? This is actually a conversation that I've been having with like non-Jews specifically about what they think is kind of going on in Lebanon. Israel's taking parts of Lebanon.
Right. The southern parts.
The southern part of Lebanon.
Lebanon has Beirut, and I know that that's been named, or that was the name of a beer pong game for a long time.
Yes.
So growing up, typically associated Lebanon with the beer pong game of Beirut.
How do you play Beirut?
Oh, it's beer pong.
It's just beer pong.
It's just beer pong. But that just also gives you a sense of how, kind of either whether you want to call it dark humor or insensitive that is, because, that's kind of what you associate. Oops, excuse me. Sorry. I just want to be sure.
You're good.
You're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I know.
By the way, the rules of Beirut, the beer pong game, is that they throw a ball and then you throw a ball, and if you miss, you just go to their side and you just hit all the cups off the table.
Right. That's right.
You go, F your cups, man. You take your red cups back to whatever another place is in Lebanon.
Right. I mean, and basically both sides, are essentially saying that they have had the rights and naming rights for solo cups for the past 3,000 years. So
that's the issue. It's a big debate over whether this is Israel's solo cup or this is, the Iran, the Lebanese regime's.
Beyond that, I from what I understand is that I saw one thing. I don't know if it was, at this point, I don't know if it's whether AI real or not, but there was at least something going around about how Google has either Google or Apple Maps, right?
Yeah, false.
Was that false?
Yeah, there was a story about how Apple had been erasing southern Lebanese cities off of the maps. That's just not. It's just not accurate. It's just this is a very, very tricky situation. Is what I would say. This is one of the more complicated elements to this Iran war because it feels like with Iran directly, it was like very one-to-one. They're like, okay, we hate the IRGC. Let's go, hit the IRGC. What happened is that 2 days after the war in Iran started, Hezbollah started firing into Israel, thousands of bombs, into Israel. And they've been doing this since after October 7th, but not to this degree. They have been fighting and they've been shooting into the northern part of Israel. Now, on the Israel side, I will say that it's completely unlivable there. When you are getting shot at, when you are, having to deal with this, it's thousands. I saw a number at 6,500 since October 7th. I've been shot in there, and with 12 to 1,500 over the last couple of weeks alone. So when that happens, I was in Tel Aviv for the weeks during the beginning of the war. You get 90 seconds from the northern border from Lebanon. If you were in Metula, if you're in one of the border towns on the Israel side, you get 15 seconds, 30 seconds. It's crazy, and they're in a shelter in place at this point. I've had friends who have had rockets fall into their properties, into their farmland, and it's completely unsustainable. And the reality of the situation is that Hezbollah should have been reined in by two entities, the Lebanese government and the UN. The UN had buffer zones at those borders that they just did not enforce at all. This is not to say, of course, that Israel isn't doing that. We'll get into the Israel side of this, obviously. But on the physical, geographical Israel side, it is unlivable. Truly, truly, truly unlivable. After Iran, so we started shooting at Iran. Iran is backing Hezbollah. Hezbollah, in unity with Iran, decided to start shooting at the northern part of Israel. So Israel's response to it has been to go into Lebanon, and they're talking about creating a buffer zone that is on the Lebanese side of the border. You can't do either. So there's this really complicated question here of the answer is everyone just has to stop. Everyone has to stop shooting, but that won't happen because every side is hell-bent on either expanding or keeping this war going. Hezbollah has no reason to stop at this point. Absolutely no reason to stop. They're winning the PR game. They don't really give a shit about the people that are living in the south of Lebanon. They, in their mind, I think it is actually kind of a good thing if Israel takes part of Lebanon, because then they will always be able to say, hey, look, they're occupying parts of our land, which is accurate. That's so accurate. And it's very frustrating because I have a lot of Jewish, I posted about this online a couple days ago and I got shit for it from people being what do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? How would you handle this if you were in control? What's your plan for fixing it? One, I'm not Bibi. I don't control the government at all. I got a ton of shit for it. What is your solution? My solution, honestly, is to get rid of Bibi, is to get a government in there that doesn't have this 3-year chip on their shoulder of being in war after war after war after war after war. Also, it ain't working. It just ain't working. Going and attacking enemies. I firmly believe that Israel is in a worse place than they were than at the start of this Iran war. I just think that domestically in America, people are way, way pissed at Israel at this point. They're pissed at America for going into this war. They're really pissed at Israel for kind of pushing for pushing Trump to get into this war. So just constantly going into this over and over and over is not working. There's another part to this that I think that a lot of people are not talking about. And that is that Israeli society is tired. Since October 7th, they had to deal with October 7th, the aftermath of October 7th, the war in Gaza, tensions in the West Bank, tensions in Lebanon, Iran War 1, Iran War 2, Lebanon section of this war. Society's tired. You can only pull and just, you can only, thin them out, and you can only play with people's emotions and play with people's resiliency so long. And I think that Israelis, rightfully, they get a ton of support, and a ton of people idealizing like the strength of the Israelis, which is true. Which is totally true. They're very strong, resilient people out there, but they're still people. And at the end of the day, if over time, everyone is just like on a knife's edge over there. And one of the big things that this war has kind of uncovered is that Iran's leadership doesn't give a shit about the Iranians. Israel's leadership definitely gives a shit about the Israelis. Iran's leadership is able to go into this and able to be like, I don't care how bad the civilians are taking it. We can just keep on going. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't affect us. We're in our billion-dollar mansions in Moscow or wherever else. We don't need to be, we don't need to be affected by this. We can just keep on this war going as long. We can shut the strait. They can bomb the hell out of whatever city they want. It won't affect us. We're not there. Israel's side, they are there. So I think that there is like a legitimate argument to be made that at a certain point, like you could only pull Israeli society too long before it kind of breaks.
Has there been any increase in like emigration out of Israel, like whether from Israeli citizens or otherwise? When
I was there, so I want to say no numbers are backing any of this, but when I was there, this war versus the last couple times I was there, I definitely heard more people trying to get out. Maybe not to permanently get out, but to leave the country like temporarily to go on trips. Everyone is, a lot of people are trying to get out of there for at least temporarily, get a reset. It's like COVID there. If you got kids, fuck that. That's crazy. You're going back and forth in bomb shelters over and over. No, granted, things have calmed down tremendously. It's been like super easy, but there's also calmed down because there's been a ceasefire that has a set date that it will end in a couple of weeks. I think a week and a half left at this point. I mean, but also you're getting your information from fucking Donald Trump, who is what is very frustrating, I think, with the right wing at this point in dealing with the Israel stuff is that whether we like it or not, Trump has been good for some sections of it. He's been very bad for other sections. He's been very, very good for sections. He's been very bad for sections of it. We're now at a point where he's very bad for this, where we are trying to kind of figure out like what his day-to-day mood is and like what he means when he says his tweets and people taking his tweets seriously, even though half the time they're not meant to be taken seriously. When he says praise Allah and I'm going to fucking kill society in Iran, that's crazy. Did you see yesterday the thing about he's beefing with the Pope?
Yes.
He's beefing with the Pope now.
Yeah.
We can't be siding with the beefing with the Pope guy. The Pope is probably the most liked person, on the planet.
Yeah.
And it ain't getting better at all.
No. And the Pope Leo, right?
Yeah.
Pope Leo. He said, do you see what he said on the plane? He was like, I have no fear
when
it comes to the Trump administration.
Let me just say, bars.
Yeah.
He looked at me, he's like, the only thing I fear is the chariot of Elijah coming down and striking me from wherever I've been. From whence we came. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't know who said this, but someone said something like, why are they fighting? They have a lot in common. They both love keeping sex offenders on the street.
Leo.
Yeah, Leo and Trump. But anyways, we can't go into, occupying parts of Lebanon is just completely inappropriate. It's against every law. It's making Israel look bad. And I bring all of that up because the Iron Dome is now becoming a big part of the conversation in politics, especially with the primaries that are coming up. Especially with the midterms that are coming up. People are, supporting Israel, very unpopular. Supporting the defensive tools for Israel used to be a no-brainer. It used to be like a non-conversation. Now it's a conversation. Now it's fully a conversation. So what is this war doing? Huh? Yeah? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
War crime.
Messiah arrives. Shout out Steve Fox for getting that. Oh, and by the way, before we go into the Iron Dome Fund, I just want to say, I was going to say happy Yom HaShoah, but it's Holocaust Day out there. I hope everyone thinks about it today. You're going to see coverage after coverage after coverage for people doing it. I would always, my grandmother was a Holocaust survivor. Obviously, love her a lot. Whenever we talk about the Holocaust, I do, of course, like to bring up the portrait that my family gave of her. I can see, by the way, on the camera.
Oh, you can't see. Oh, okay. Oh my God. It's taking up everything.
How do I get? Yeah!
Nice.
That's my puppy. Ain't she hot? Look at that.
Is that the one where she asked for more cleavage, or was that?
This is the one where my mom says that my mom gave me this picture, and then she said, your grandmother didn't actually look like that. She wasn't that big. I swear to God. So my grandmother got the original filter. My grandmother was a very, very fancy lady who did a ton to get, parts of my family out of the Holocaust, out of Europe and everything like that. So, there's a lot of like very sad stuff, obviously, that's going to be talked about online today. But if there's a little bit of pride and joy that I can take in our, in our Holocaust elders out here, take it to my hot grandma. Look at that. Hot bubby. Okay. Yeah. Slightly put this down.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay, here we go. Iron Dome funding, which, by the way, I saw the Iron Dome. Coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like doing bath salts. The thing shoots up in front of me when I was outside of a bomb shelter in Israel. Which one are we going to Israel?
No.
You don't want to head out and to live your life inside of a bomb shelter?
I'm good.
For a society that you have nothing to do with?
I'm good.
You're good, right? Iron Dome. So Iron Dome is obviously there's 4 missile defense systems that are used to protect Israel: David Sling, Arrow 3, Iron Dome, and Eitan. Swear to God, which means the light of Eitan. It's a laser that they shoot. They've been using. I was serious about that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, laser tech. They've been shooting the drone because the whole thing is that the drones are now. They're not a bigger problem because like a ballistic missile could take out like a full block. Like I've seen where those hit. Like it's disastrous. The cluster bombs, they're just very annoying. They've killed people. They're not to say that they aren't, a problem, but like, they do stuff. The drones are becoming a big issue because you're able to make them very cheaply. And they are, if it's $1 million to hit down a drone, they only cost about $20,000 to make. So eventually that is like a part of the financial equation that gets brought into this.
I mean, slight tangent. You've heard about the lasers on the border?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Same idea.
Same idea.
Same idea. Technology. Yeah. They've been using 60 Minutes did a thing on this, and they said that they've been using this laser system to knock down like drug cartel drones that have been going over the border. Mm-hmm. So it's in use. Gotcha. They've been. I know that it has also been in use in Israel. I don't know where, when, what conflict or whatever, but over the past like couple of years, there has been a system that has been set up and has like worked. The issue with the laser system is that apparently in weather and dust, it becomes like a problem. It's also not like it's very, very accurate, but like everything, it's not 100% accurate out there. So the Iron Dome fight, but it's a defensive weapon, the Iron Dome. It shoots. So that's the whole question: is that like it's getting rid of the Iron Dome? Does that force Israel to take more diplomatic? To take a bigger stab at diplomacy versus attacking stuff? I personally think absolutely not. One, if you get rid of Iron Dome funding, it's just death. All you're doing is inviting more death into that scenario. And if you thought the Israeli government wasn't reined in before, holy shit. They're not going to say, like, I would literally worry for the other countries in that region. If you get rid of Iron Dome funding, if any of those, you get rid of Iron Dome funding, and let's say like something slips in and Israel wasn't able to intercept it and it came out because they didn't have enough missiles because of whatever, like Iran's done. Like everything that Trump said, like they're going to do. Israel has a big reputation of being hit and then hitting back 50,000 times harder. Who is wrong in that situation? I don't effing know. What's happening in Lebanon right now is that Hezbollah shot down into Israel because they were friends with the Iranians, and now Israel is going back 50,000 times harder up there. Who is wrong in these situations? The answer is also, by the way, it's the UN for having no penis at all. No penis, no balls, just completely like a Ken doll down there. It's, the Lebanese government, same penis situation, no penis at all. And then this Israeli government for not taking a better, not looking at how to logically handle this and not changing the strategy at all. All right, so Iron Dome funding. Over the past couple of weeks, it's become a little bit more of a debate. Michael Blake, who is challenging Richie Torres, said that he opposed all military aid to Israel, including defensive funding, which actually changed his position from where he was at in January, which just shows you also how much this Iran war has changed people's minds here. Is that you're having a lot of Democrats, progressive for sure, but just regular lowercase d Democrats out there who are now questioning Iron Dome funding, and that questioning was not there before this Iran war was happening. Quote, we need to absolutely stop the aid that is happening. We need to stop sending money. Brad Lander, who is a progressive challenger to Dan Goldman, who I met him, I'm going to be honest, Rizless is what I would consider him. Brad Lander has changed his mind also. He said, quote, we need to follow the Leahy law and condition all our foreign policy aid on human rights and international law compliance. At the moment, Israel is very far from complying with human rights, international law, so I would not vote for any more aid at this point. As of recently as September, a bill approved Iron Dome supplemented. As of recently as September, a bill approved Iron Dome supplemental funding passed in the House with only 9 dissenting votes at that time. There are also Jewish groups like J Street, which is a liberal pro-Israel advocacy, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of them. But they say that their founder Jeremy Ben-Ami recently came out with a column on his Substack, which even saying that, there was a good Substack. The only Substack I like is Chef Tova's. That's it. But on Ben-Ami's Substack, he also said that America should consider cutting the Iron Dome funding. Now, originally, this was positioned online as J Street wants to cut Iron Dome funding. But what he's actually saying is that he wants to wean Israel off of funding from America and make it a transactional situation versus just getting supplemental funding for free. Now, here is the other part to this. Bibi, in some way, agrees with this, because Bibi has also been vowing to spend 350 billion shekels, which is about $110 billion, on developing independent arms industry to reduce dependency on other countries. This has been a thing over the past couple of years where Bibi has talked about a situation or a world where Israel isn't getting supplemental funding. And to be honest, they are able to do that. Over the past couple of years, Israel's stock market has surged. Since October 7th, it's quadrupled because of defense spending and because of AI. Israel isn't going anywhere. Drone tech, laser systems, defense tech. Israel has a ton of companies. Elbit is one of the bigger companies over there that is just skyrocketing. And to be honest, war is not going away anytime soon. And when war goes away and when people stop cutting checks to Israel for their defensive tools, then it will be a problem. But that is not happening at this point. My hot take on this is that this is all 100% accurate. They should be getting to a point where Israel is able to sustain itself. That being said, cutting defensive aid at this point, defensive aid, that's a big problem. And when it's cut in a way to appease progressive voters versus logically just be like, hey, we should be having a regular transactional relationship with Israel, that's when it becomes a problem, because you're seeing people like Rashida Tlaib and like Ilhan Omar who are out there saying get rid of all defense, whatever. That's the wrong way to go about this. But there is a logical thing there's a logical concept here of Israel being in a better position where it can sustain itself versus, not mooching, but relying on the U.S. And I will also say that the U.S. does get a ton out of this relationship. All that defense that Israel has, all that defense data, all that stuff, that's happening. A lot of that goes over to America. So this isn't exactly like it's not a one-to-one. America definitely is giving more to Israel than Israel is giving to America, but there are merits in having some military relationship with Israel, long-term. Oh my God. How was that?
Hey,
it's so complicated.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I think give him 5 years and get off it. I think wait till this war taps down. God forbid China gets involved and sends over more missile launchers over to Iran to a point where they're sending, instead of little barrages of 5 to 10 at a time, where they do that thing where they send over 300 in the span of a day or two. It's a possibility.
Is the supplemental help, is that more simply just capital and money, or are we talking about physical
I think it's
systems?
I think it's both, but I also think that Israel does have their own systems that they have made and that they share. They have their that laser defense system.
Right.
It's a thing. Israel invented the concept of shooting a missile out of the sky with another missile.
Right.
That's invaluable, and that's the thing. And I do think the way to get to better defense tech isn't cutting all defense tech for a country, but it does put them in a position where they do need to figure out what to do. Ukraine is still around because they figured out drones. They figured out that they do not financially have a way to compete with other countries. So what do? They figured a way to cheaply compete with other countries. And now I saw, once again, in 60 Minutes, that they've been able to lower the cost of a kill to $900 versus several thousand from before, from before this Russian thing happened. And Israel does need to get to a point where they're able to cheaply figure out how to handle this ballistic missile problem, or at least this drone problem. Maybe not the ballistic missiles. They're definitely going to have to shoot down. I don't know if there's a cheaper way to go about it. I'm also not a defense contractor that we know of, but they are going to have to figure out cheap ways to deal with drones coming up, especially, we're already seeing drone footage in Ukraine out of Lebanon, where we're seeing Hezbollah fighters get exploded by cheap drones. And then we're seeing tanks, Merkava tanks, I think is the name of them, that are getting hit by Hezbollah drones. So that's where we're at in this war. And the worst thing imaginable would be to be in a situation where the northern part of Israel looks like the Donbass region, or looks like, Kharkiv. Did I say that really?
I'm not going to comment.
On Kharkiv? You're not Ukrainian?
No,
oh my God. This is going to be. All right. Next up, AIPAC.
Oh, God.
God, that scared you. Polling. AIPAC's polling is in the garbage with, get this, Jews. That is right. 40%, including 66% of younger Jewish Democratic voters, say that AIPAC endorsement makes them less likely to support a candidate. 66% of young Jewish Democrats say that AIPAC endorsement makes them less likely to support a candidate. 66% say that they are against AIPAC spending in Democratic primaries. In a 39, the Melman group did a poll, surveyed 800 registered Jewish voters between March 13th and March 23rd. They found a narrow 39% plurality agree that it was more important than ever to speak up for Israel. And 37% of respondents feared that such advocacy risks making things worse. 2/3 of Jewish Republicans and 59% of Jewish independents backed strong pro-Israel advocacy, but just 28% of Democrats shared the same view. A near majority, 46% of Democrats feared that pro-Israel electioneering could turn voters against Israel. AIPAC, the Democratic majority for Israel, and J Street. So those are the three Israel advocacy groups. AIPAC held the highest favorability with 39%. 29% viewed the long-term Israel group unfavorably. 32% said that they were unsure. Jewish Democrats had a 29% favorable viewing of AIPAC. 37% viewed AIPAC unfavorable, and 33% said that they were unsure. Another component to this that I want to point out is that Tom Malinowski has announced that he's actually endorsing Analia Mejia. Now, this story is interesting because Tom Malinowski, pro-Israel Jew, who was running for, actually, I don't know if he's Jewish. Tom Malinowski, pro-Israel dude, was running to replace Mickey Sherrill, which is a congressional seat that was in New Jersey. AIPAC, now keep in mind, Tom Malinowski is pro-Israel. The only thing that he doesn't align with on AIPAC is that he thought that there should be conditions on military spending, which there should, right? AIPAC decided that Tom Malinowski wasn't pro-AIPAC enough, not pro-Israel, just it wasn't pro-AIPAC enough. So what did they do? They ended up funding the seat, or they ended up funding the campaign against him. And what ended up happening was that this third candidate, Analia Mejia, who has called what's happening in Gaza a genocide, she is a Bernie Sanders-backed candidate, she ended up winning. So AIPAC, by funding the war against pro-Israel Tom Malinowski, accidentally got anti-Israel Analia Mejia to get elected in. And now Tom Malinowski is officially endorsing Analia Mejia. Tom Malinowski narrowly lost the primary where AIPAC spent $2.3 million against him. And now Malinowski has announced that he is going to be putting his money behind Analia Mejia. Pro-AIPAC and pro-Israel, you're going to see over the next couple of years, is going to be real stretched out. You're going to see a lot of people moving away from AIPAC. And the biggest issue is that we've got, once again, elections that are coming out in the next couple of months. And if AIPAC is just kind of let go and able to kind of like try to let go without being reined in at all during the upcoming election, then that's going to be a big problem when you start seeing AIPAC screw up other pro-Israel candidates who are just not pro-AIPAC candidates. And what they were doing to the progressive candidates before, which was very effective, they're now doing it to pro-Israel candidates who are moderate, and that's a fucking problem. And the donors and all the people that are AIPAC aligned or whatever, if they actually care about Israel at all, then they would cut it with the funding, or they would at least talk to AIPAC into not pulling this bullshit, because it is just not sustainable at all, like what they are doing. That was a pretty good summation of what's happening out there. AIPAC. All right. I got a couple more stories here. The first, and we got some happy stories, by the way. The non-Israel related, finally. Are you aware of the UPENN Jew list?
Well, I'm aware of the whole subpoena and all that stuff. Yeah.
UPENN is officially fighting the Trump government. A U.S. federal judge recently found that the Trump administration was within its rights to demand the University of Pennsylvania to turn over information about Jews on campus. They wanted the UPenn board to hand over a list of Jews on campus. Let me just say that again. The Trump administration wanted the UPenn board to hand over a list of Jews to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC. Now, if you're wondering out there why it is a bad idea for UPenn to hand over a list of Jews over to the Trump administration, Google it. Google list of Jews on a work laptop, okay? Do it on a work laptop. Just type in list of Jews and see if you have a job the next Tuesday, okay? In fact, and this is a true thing, Jews on lists, it's so bad that the one time that Jews were on a list and it was a good thing, they made a movie about it. Schindler's List. The log line of Schindler's List, it should really just be Jews on a list, ... And it's a good thing? It's a whole movie about the one time it was pretty beneficial to be a Jew on a list. So what happened, the story here is that in 2023, after October 7th, things on college campuses got a little crazy. Everyone, it was bad for the Jews. It was bad for the pro-Israel side. It was bad for the pro-Palestinian side. The schools did a very bad job handling at this. So there was a complaint that was made to the government. So the government has been investigating anti-Semitism on campus. And what they've found thus far has been pretty fucking damning. Harvard, Jesus Christ. Harvard's basically like going to college in Berlin in 1938 from, what everyone has said. UPenn had a massive, massive problem with this also. So the administration had been investigating anti-Semitism claims out there. And what that involved was the Trump administration going to the EEOC and asking the EEOC to ask UPenn for a list of Jews so that they can investigate the anti-Semitism. Now, I get why they did this. It's inappropriate, but I will say that it is maybe the dumbest, well-meaning thing they could have possibly done. That's how I would describe this. It was the dumbest, like, yeah, just give us a list of Jews, and then not being like, what do you mean that's a problem? Give us a list. We want to study anti-Semitism. So the school fought this, and the school actually fought this for two reasons. One, you can't just give over a list of Jews. Two, they don't have that list. It would be weird if UPenn had a list of Jews to begin with. So not only is the government asking the UPenn to hand over a list of Jews, they're asking them to create a list of Jews, which is insane. So the UPenn board went back to the judge. They went back to get a ruling on this. They said, we can't hand over a list of Jews. And the judge responded in a 32-page opinion, though ineptly worded, that request had an understandable purpose to obtain a narrowly tailored view, as opposed to seeking information on all university employees, information on individuals in Penn's Jewish community who could have experienced and witnessed anti-Semitism in the workplace. So the judge ruled in favor of the EEOC and the Trump administration. They're now ordering UPenn to give them a list of Jews. UPenn is fighting that back. Now, here's something that I want to point out, by the way. I looked up this judge, this Gerald Pepper. He graduated from Villanova University and then got a degree at Notre Dame. The two least fucking Jewish universities in the entire world. Of course, this guy doesn't understand why handing out lists of Jews to the government is a bad idea, because he never ran into any Jews at Villanova University, and then he went over to Notre Dame University. Notre Dame is in South Bend, Indiana. South Bend, Indiana has so little Jews, and this is a fact, that the team store at the South Bend Cubs is an old synagogue that was repurposed into a team store. There are no Jews in South Bend anymore. There are no Jews at Villanova. This fucking goy can't go out there and just be like, yeah, you know what? Here's some bacon. Give me some Jews on a list, okay? I don't care. And by the way, my wife is blonde, and our kids look like the Sound of Music kids out there. That was my big takeaway from this, is that you can't ask this goy lawyer, you know what you need to have? Have someone at Brooklyn Law decide, okay? I need Cardozo.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy needs to, you need Judge Judy. You don't need Judge Mathis here. Nothing against Judge Mathis, but this isn't Judge Mathis's jurisdiction. This is Judge Judy. This is Jeffrey Epstein's jurisdiction out there. Absolutely insane. And then I got two last stories that I want to do for you. What has become a mainstay on this show is the Mamdani Watch, which is a segment that was created after the ADL's Mamdani Watch, where we watch how people are watching Mamdani. The big story this week is that Sid Rosenberg and Zohran Mamdani are in a fight because Sid Rosenberg got annoyed that Mr. Met hugged Zohran Mamdani and ignored him over the past couple of times that he had been at Citi Field. These are some of the things that Sid Rosenberg has tweeted over the past couple of days. Not only are the Mets too woke for me, but they suck on top of it. See you at the stadium on Wednesday. Just when you thought things couldn't get worse, we found out today that Mr. Met is a raging anti-Semite. This was me at Citi Field last season being ignored by Mr. Met. Yesterday, Mr. and Mrs. Met were hugging and kissing our anti-Semite mayor. Easy to conclude that Mr. Met is an anti-Semite. Figures. Mr. Met ran away from me last season, and he's hugging the mayor? Mr. Met is an anti-Semite. Hey, just a fun fact. Since Mr. Met and Mrs. Met practically banged Zohran, the Mets have lost every game since, which is actually accurate. And now they got the Dodgers in LA tonight. Let's go Yanks. Looks like many Mets fans are ripping their shirts and done rooting for the team. I guess I'm the catalyst behind the exodus between Mamdani, Mr. Met, Lindor's wife, Cohn's disgraceful Charlie Kirk rant. The Mets pro-Trump supporters traded from this team are only a matter of time. And the last thing he tweeted was, of course, a picture of the Mets. Tweeted just a happy birthday, Mr. Met. And Sid Rosenberg retweeted it with just the words, anti-Semite. I'm starting to think that Sid Rosenberg is a little annoyed at Mr. Met.
I think so.
God.
Did he invoke Mrs. Met at all?
I think he invoked the 25th Amendment. He did. He said that because said Mr. and Mrs. Met practically banged Zohran, which, by the way, I would watch that. You wouldn't watch that? You wouldn't watch a couple minutes just to see what it would be like?
I mean, no.
No?
No.
Who is the, you know, what's funny is that the implication here is that, like, he's like, oh, the Met fans are going to go be Yankee fans. Mr. Met could open tongue make out with Adolf Hitler while being jerked off by Osama bin Laden at the funeral for the Ayatollah Khomeini, and I would still be a Met fan, okay? I don't care. It would take Sid Rosenberg trying to act like there's some moral superiority to rooting for the Mets. Let me tell you right now, ain't nothing moral about rooting for this team. You and I know more than anyone just how little politics and morality has gone into, you know, dealing with this team. Yeah. What's the thing that would, you know, me and Rich are diehard Met fans. What is the thing that the Mets could do that would make you stop rooting for the Mets?
Man, that'd be tough. What could they do? I'd say getting rid of Mr. Met.
You think getting rid of Mr. Met would get you to get rid of your fandom for the team?
I think I would boycott Mr. Metcalf for at least a year.
What would you want them to replace it with?
Well, I would
big Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want a Zoe mascot.
Yeah.
That or another TD Bank. I'm not sure.
TD Bank. Yeah. What would they have to do? I mean, okay, first of all, here's the thing that would actually get me to get their allegiance. You know those jerseys that are like half Yankee, half Met jerseys?
Oh, yeah.
If they ever wore any of those or any of that stuff.
Any crossover stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's like this, I know the Subway Series, like, I think is like fine and everything. But yeah, if they do any, like, that's fair. If they do any like cross promotional stuff, suppose they are Yankees, going down the barrel, like at least go down like either swinging or with some dignity.
Yeah.
But if they're going down financially otherwise, and then they start trying to like,
no. If
go with the Yankees, then it's just like, screw it. I'll back the Sacramento Athletics.
Yeah.
You know?
First of all, that is the team that I would naturally go to. I mean,
they just got swept by them. Yeah. So,
and they play in a minor league stadium, and they got Brabazon on that. Yeah. Old man. Yeah, I'd say the thing that would get me definitely like doing some. If an owner, the thing about Steve Cohen is that he's at least like an owner that likes the Mets, so he knows like not the faux pas. So if he was to do something, I would be annoyed. Let's say 9/11 was to happen again. I would be livid if they had Aaron Judge doing a commercial with like Mark Vientos or, you know, or like Alvarez or someone. If Juan Soto and Aaron Judge did a like, you know, we're here with the people of New York.
Right. After the M&M store got leveled or something. Yeah.
1,000 people die because the M&M store was exploded by Hezbollah. A Shahed drone slipped through defenses and ended up hitting Kinky Boots. And a bunch of people died. If Aaron Judge and Juan Soto came out and made a joint statement from the Mets and the Yankees, I would be like, well, fuck the Mets. But yeah, that's how. And last bit of news here for the Jewish Sports Report. I want to give a little bit of a Jewish Sports Report thing at Jews of the Week in Sports. Actually, no. What's the slogan? It's time for another episode of Jews of the Week in Sports. Amare Stoudemire was elected into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Amare Stoudemire is, he was development assistant for the Nets. He played for Maccabi Tel Aviv. He was obviously dominant for the few years that he was on the Suns. He then got traded over to the Knicks, and it never really came together, though him coming to the Knicks did let us get Carmelo. That's a big thing I will always think. Think of when I think of Amare. He converted to Judaism, if I'm not mistaken, but he has a significant share in Hapoel Yerushalayim. He won a championship with Maccabi Tel Aviv. He is named to he was an Israeli Basketball Premier League final also. So he's had one of the more dynamic careers. Unfortunately, ended a little bit early because of injuries, to a point where he was able to go and just play in like an easier league. I loved the Israeli Basketball League when I went there, but it's a little bit less of a it's a little bit less of a challenging a place to be. Now, I wonder if Wikipedia has any. Oh, here we go. Stoudemire was raised Baptist. Through his mother, he associated with the Black Hebrew Israelites, and in 2010, interviewed said, "I have been aware since my youth that I am a Hebrew through my mother, and that is something that has played a subtle but important role in my development." Asked if there was a chance that he was Jewish, he said, "I think through history, I think we all are." He visited Israel that year, saying that he intended to get better at understanding his heritage. He returned to the 2013 Maccabi games as assistant coach of Canadian basketball, which is so funny. He was the assistant coach for Canadian basketball at the Maccabi games. While he was there, he met the Israeli president, who was Shimon Peres at the time. Shimon Peres convinced him to join the Israel's national team, which, by the way, there is a weird history of Israeli politicians getting random Jews and stuff to go and to play in Israel with this like ethics, or they're like, like, you're Jewish, you should play over here. This guy Danny Shays who did it, or does Danny? I think it was Danny. Basically, he joined the Israeli national team. April 2018, he converted officially to Judaism. January 2019 was granted residency in Israel, and he became an Israeli citizen in 2019. He adopted the name Yehoshaphat ben Avraham, and he converted to with the rabbinical court on the 26th. He and now he is is a nice little Jew. He was also last year, he was nominated to the International Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, which is very, very nice. But a big Mazel's Kiddush Shkoyach Minin out there to Amare Stoudemire. I also want to give a big shout out to the lone Jew who won at the March Madness this year. Last year, there was a ton of stories about Jews dominating March Madness. This year, not so much. We didn't really have a good showing. All of our coaches, High Point University coach was Jewish. John Shire from Duke, obviously, they got eliminated fairly embarrassingly. One Jew, Harrison Hochberg, a member of Tribe NIL, took home the gold. Is that what they call out there? The NCAA trophy? Basically, Harrison Hochberg, a member of the Michigan squad, was an NCAA champion. A big Mazel's Kiddush Shkoyach Minin out there to Harrison Hochberg. Harrison Hochberg, during his run, also got a development deal, got a branded partnership deal with Zabar's. Tribe NAL negotiated a deal with Zabar's, and Harrison Hochberg, at one point, he said that the coach Dusty May had come over and was eating some of their Zabar stuff over Passover, because the March Madness, a lot of it happens over Passover. So big Mazel's Kiddush Shkoyach Minin out there to Harrison Hochberg. And with that, I think we're good. Did you learn everything you needed to know on this episode?
I learned everything.
You learned all this episode on this. What do you think of the Jews?
Baby.
I put up a clip recently. I asked a non-Jewish audience. I was like, what do you, who's your least favorite Jew of all time? And he refused to answer. He was like, I don't want to say it. And I'm like, come on, say it. And he was like, no. And he was like, come on. And he was like, Barbra Streisand.
Wow. You wouldn't go with like Woody Allen or something?
Listen, a lot of great Jews out there.
Yeah.
A lot of terrible Jews out there. Babs ain't one of them at all.
No.
And the answer is Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, the answer is clearly
Right,
Jeffrey
course,
Epstein.
Of course.
It's Jeffrey Epstein, and then it's this girl that dumped me in college because she thought that it would hurt her social standing dating a comic.
Wow.
So I go her. So I go. It goes Jeffrey Epstein.
What about the Zabar's lady?
Which is Zabar's lady?
The one, the cabbage lady. Zabar's cabbage. You told the story about.
Oh yeah,
Zabar.
no, she's fine. She's fine. In fact, Miriam, if you're listening out there, I think we ended things on the wrong foot. No, I'd say. So I'd say three worst Jews of all time is Jeffrey Epstein, that girl that I dated, and then Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right. That's fair.
I would say that. I mean, Mayor Kahana, he's pretty bad. He's that guy that killed like 60 people in was it Bethlehem? Not Bethlehem. Where was it? Anyways, I'll remember this at some point.
Norway one? No, I mean, he was a Christian nationalist.
Although, this is a fun fact. Highest rate of anti-Semitic Jew death ever recorded. Not ever recorded, but since 1994. I didn't want to really get into this because this is like a little bit sadder of a topic. But 20 people were killed in anti-Semitic attacks in 2025 over 3 countries. This is according to an analysis done by the Tel Aviv University. Fatal attacks included in Sydney, Washington, D.C., Boulder, Manchester, marked the highest number of deadly attacks, so 20 people, since the 1994 bombing of the AMIA Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires, which killed 85 people. Overall, the total number of anti-Semitic incidents increased from 1727 to 1750, which about the same. We've evened it out compared to 1,200 incidents in 2023 and 472 in 2022. So, Rich,
wow,
what the fuck are you guys doing? And with that concludes another episode of the New York Times. I am Eitan Levine. We are here every week to let you know what's happening in the Jewish universe. We schmooze. We yell loudly about what's going on. And with that, Rich, Barstool.